the lesson plan template within here. First, you're going to fill in your name, the grade level your lesson plan is targeted to, the date, the unit that the lesson plan would fall in. So for instance, if you're adding and subtracting fractions, it's going to be in the fractions unit. If you're doing mean, median, and mode, it's going to be in the statistics unit. Your instructional plan title, just whatever you want to call this lesson plan, you just give it a title. Then in the lesson summary, in 2 to 3 sentences, you're going to summarize your lesson and identify the central focus. This is often not done in a linear manner. So typically you'll write the lesson plan, then you'll come back and you'll fill this in. This section is only for if you're going to be working with students in groups. So are you using groups to differentiate the lesson? So will students with IEPs, ELLs, etc., will they get a different resource or handout or a modified assignment? For the classroom factors of demographics and environment, we don't really have that part to talk about. So it's more about here, are you doing any differentiated instruction? If you are, how are you differentiating your instruction? So for instance, maybe your ELL students are getting a glossary of terms handout that has, their information in it for each definition and key term. Then you're going to review either the national or the state standards to become familiar. Now you'll notice this section just says review. Your goal is to identify a standard at either your state level or your national level. Google is your friend. And to try and say that this is the standard that you think applies to your lesson. Again, typically this is done more at the end after you've written your learning objectives. If you get this wrong, I'm just going to give you feedback to help you better understand how that standard didn't align. This isn't a lesson planning class. This is a math teaching class. So I'm going to help you along here, but that's not really a skill that I'm assessing in my area. Then you have your learning objectives. There is a video in the announcements that you need to watch for your learning objectives. It's also important to understand that having more than 2 learning objectives in a K-6 environment is really tough because you get about 15 to 20 minutes of instruction. So having more than that many learning objectives becomes very problematic to actually achieve. In the academic language, it's just, are there vocabulary words? So if you're studying the mean is a vocabulary word, so you're going to put mean and you're going to give me a definition. Then you're going to put median and give me a definition. And then you're just going to tell me, how are you going to teach that? Are you going to put them on the board for students to copy? Are you going to do something that's an interactive game? How are you going to teach those terms that you need? Do you need any resources? So do you need a Promethean board? Do you need a whiteboard? Does each student get a whiteboard at their desk? What is expected as far as materials that the students have to need to be able to do the lesson? The anticipatory set is really just your bell ringer. So this is just meant to be like an icebreaker. When they come in the class, how are you going to get their interest so that you can start teaching about your topic? It really shouldn't be more than 5 minutes. Then we want to make sure that we're not just lecturing to our students. So if you're just standing at the front of the class and you're just explaining the concept, students aren't going to understand it. So maybe you have them completing a worksheet where they're filling in notes. Maybe you have them sketching something out to help them organize the ideas. So we don't want to just rely on the fact that they can listen to you. If you're utilizing Venn diagrams, graphic organizers, etc., then they're also kinesthetically learning. If you're also including icons or visuals in your lesson with the instruction, then you're tapping into those visual learners. So this is really kind of the meat of what's going on here. And then you're going to explain how you would adapt this. So if students don't speak good English, how are you going to work with them? If students have special needs, like they're special education students, are you going to have your paraprofessional work with them? If students are gifted and they finish early, what are you going to do with them? Hint, hint, it's pretty cool to have them kind of working with other students in a peer-to-peer environment. And same thing for those who are early finishers. So they might need something to keep them busy which could just be a deeper, more interesting look at the concept. Then you're going to have multiple means of engagements. We had representation, now we're trying to get to engagement. So what are you going to have them do besides just listen? Are they going to work in groups? Are they going to solve problems on their own whiteboard? Are they going to play a game? What are they going to do to actually demonstrate that they're learning? And then expression really relates to how they are assessed. So are you going to give them a project? Are you going to let them choose their project where they can do a video, a presentation, etc.? Are you going to have them do different components of a project? Are you going to have them work in groups and submit something in a group? Are you going to have them write a reflection? That's just how you're assessing them, is all that is. And then what's their homework? Just fill this in with what their homework is. And so the key is that I'm trying to look at how well are you breaking down a mathematical concept into these different pieces of instruction, and then I'll be giving you feedback on how to improve that.